Danny Flexen here for Seconds Out with former two-weight world champion Paulie Malignaggi and now a vital part of Team Chunky, James DeGale's camp. Just first of all, tell us how long you've been working with James and how it came about that you guys got together.
Me and James have a friendship for a little while now. And last year for the Truax fight, I came into camp and helped Jim McDonald out for a little bit.
Was that the rematch?
Yes, for the rematch. Just assisting in camp and doing some small things. Just basically, giving my input on things that I saw and whatnot. And obviously trying to help Jim out as much as I could. And of course, in return, helping James out. On fight night, obviously, I had to work the broadcast, so I couldn't be with the team, but it was my first experience with the team, and James called me back for this fight, I was in Miami with Jim and James earlier in this camp, and then they came back to London, and they told me they'd like for me to come for the end of the camp as well and just give my inputs and things like that, and supposed to be in the corner this time.
Has your role changed and grown for this fight compared to the previous camp?
No, I'm still sort of like an apprentice, where a guy like Jim has had the reins over James's career from the start, and I think he's done a great job with him. But of course, just giving my opinions, giving a little input, more so tactical than anything else. I wouldn't say it's a bigger role, but this time I'm in the corner for helping Jim out in the corner as well. So I guess that would be the only difference. Although that was the plan the first time anyway, it's just I couldn't do it because of the broadcast. This time, Showtime are picking up the fight on the last minute, so they kind of gave me the choice because it wouldn't be fair to just tell me, hey, listen, we picked up the fight and you can't work with James this time. So I decided that I won't be on the broadcast and I'll be with James in the corner.
Does that say a lot about how close you and James are, that you picked being in his corner over commentating on the fight for Showtime?
Yeah. I mean, I'm close to James either way. It's probably easier to be in the corner than it is to call the fight neutrally. For a guy that I'm friends with. So it's probably easier for me to be in the corner regardless in this particular situation because I never prefer to commentate on my friends' fights anyway.
And you said it's mainly an observational brief that you look and you see what you notice tactically, technically. What were the key things you noticed during both the first camp and this camp?
I like for, I don't want to, without getting too much into tactical detail of what we're working on, there's just certain things that I would notice just with the positioning and the hands and whatnot, and just small things, even in the midst of action, like during sparring, I may catch something, and then I'll bring it up to Jim's attention, and Jim will decide, okay, we'll do it this way, or then we may bring it up to James or not, everything runs through Jim first, he's the guy that's kind of captaining the ship, so to speak, and I'll just give my inputs, sort of like I guess when I broadcast fights and when I commentate fights. It's just this time I'm telling it directly to the team, and then it's kind of up to them to see if they deem it necessary to use it or whatnot. Sometimes the good thing about being with the team as opposed to being on the broadcast is I have more time to fully explain something tactical that I'm trying to give, or something tactical that I'm trying to really give in detail. Sometimes on the broadcast you kind of have to do it so quick. You worry that if everybody's really gotten the full gist of what you're trying to say, the positive thing about being with the team is that you have your time. The sparring will end and you'll kind of sit down and you'll talk to the trainer, you'll talk to Jim, or you'll talk to James and kind of discuss what's on your mind, and then they can discuss it back with you. So it's a different format, but it's still rooted in the same thing, which is my eyes catching some tactical things.
How would you compare DeGale's mindset and conditioning this camp compared to Truax 2?
I think the mindset is always the same. But we've changed some things, or they've changed some things with the way they condition themselves, and maybe laid off a little bit of the running a little bit more and done a little bit more conditioning in other ways. And I'll be honest, in the beginning, I thought that I wasn't really I can't say I wasn't really a fan of it, but I had my skepticism about it because I've always been a guy who's really believed in running, and so did Jim. Jim McDonald's always been a guy who's really believed in a lot of running.
You know who else never used to run? Juan Diaz.
Juan Diaz never used to run. He had a great conditioning as well, true. And so, but when I saw James sparring in Miami, which was very early in camp, and I saw his conditioning was very good, I said, you know what? He's onto something here, because his legs were actually better, because he wasn't burning them out on the road so much. And so, I was pleasantly surprised, and I think people who are fans of James DeGale will also be pleasantly surprised that, you never get years back, but if you can always conserve yourself a little bit more of yourself for your fights, it's good. And I think James his conditioning didn't suffer, but his legs were able to, I think, improve in this camp, and I think people will see that on Saturday night.
And just before we let you go, in your position as a Showtime analyst as well, were you surprised that they picked this fight up, or do you think it's worthy of that billing and it should have happened earlier, perhaps?
I can't say I'm surprised. I'll tell you why. This year in the U.S. with PBC, there's a contract with Fox as well as Showtime. So I think Showtime has lost a lot of our television dates to Fox. It's a bigger network. It's more terrestrial TV as well. And so I think there is some openings in the budget to pick up some other type of fights, some other type of boxing. And so maybe it wasn't originally on the schedule, but once seeing the openings in the Showtime schedule were available and there's budgeting available to pick up things like this, I think my boss Steven decided, you know what, this is a good card to pick up. And I actually agree. You know, regardless of the fact that I'm working in the corner or not, I think it's a good card to pick up for the U.S. because, you know, we picked up the co-feature as well, which is Joe Joyce and Stavern. So I don't think it's a bad card to put on. You know, and I think boxing fans in America will want to tune in because they're good fights.
Brilliant. Well, Paulie Malignaggi, we thank you for your time and best of luck next week.